I used to remember back when I'd slave away grinding and repetitively fighting enemies just so I can earn small amounts of gold and crap to sell since I didn't have membership. It really was the gold standard experience of being a poor kid who couldn't buy membership because their parents thought it was a waste of time. It was good though, because if I didn't prolong my journey a couple years of finally beating the first arc, I wouldn't have met one of my closest friends. She's still the same sweetheart decorating houses all the time 15 or so years ago. A couple years back, I don't know however many, I'm a lot older now, I made a video called How Far Can You Make It in Wizard101 Without Crowns or Membership, and since then, things have changed, or at least I think so. But for this video, I don't really want to go through the journey of how far I can go because I think that's already repetitive. No, I want to see how or what you can possibly do or obtain as a free-to-play player, because that's the most important part. Which is sad, because I like to believe if you really want people to get their foot in the door to play your game, it's better to show them through the different things that they can do, rather than a watered down trailer that tells me literally nothing. So I decided to see what I can do in 1 week as a free-to-play player. If you want to know how much content you actually get through questing, it's a modicum, a minute, small, tiny bit of crumb from the large, obese microtransaction cake. I don't usually like to repeat myself with videos, so I did the same old song and dance number of questing. It took me about an hour to get through the free trial of mount riding, but it saved you guys 9 minutes. So, yeah. I mean, small things have changed, like the architecture. That's some real Wingardium Leviosa. Some people are gonna mention this in the comments as well, so I'll shut it down anyways. I'm not answering 120 test questions for 20 cents worth of crowns. At that rate, it will take me 10 days to buy one single area in this game. And there's literally like 50, 60 areas. Actually, I don't really know. On certain occasions, there are areas unlocked for free temporarily, and if I had a nickel for every time KingsIsle had these events, I would have had 5 or 6 nickels, which isn't even enough to unlock anything in the store. It's not a lot, but it's weird that none of these areas are permanent yet, even after 15 years. There's also an alternative, and that's to watch ads, or let a company other than Google process your data and IP address. At level 7, fishing was opened up for me.
Fishing is a terrific hobby, and you won't find a more relaxing pastime.
It's extremely limited as you only have 2 areas you can fish in. A pond where the lights are turned off, or a pond where there's lots of lag. I chose neither because it's better to fish in a random person's home, because that's a thing in this game. I decided to look up what houses have the best fish that I could sell for big money. So I went there and I fished, but there was a problem. You only start out with a weak lure, which isn't even powerful enough to catch those prize fat fishes. There's also a very small chance to catch them, but more often than not you'll just lose it rather than catch them. Also, it doesn't really help that the fishing taps into the limited amount of energy for every catch, or when it gets away. It kind of reminds me of one of those old Facebook games. Fuck you, Farmville, and your friendship bullshit. You can also raid people's houses for free stuff. The degree of loot you can run off with kinda depends. Sometimes it could be a piece of crap, sometimes garbage. More often though, you'll just get a long loading screen. But once in a blue moon, you can get a pet. All of this is made possible by generous people who provide their homes for me to mooch off of, and anyone can do this. The process of getting free stuff has never been easier than it is now because of how streamlined it is having teleporters from house to house. Anyways, I rounded off the first day by doing some side quests I missed to level up to 8 for an extra energy refill. So yes, more fishing. I traveled to a famous fishing home known for their rare and near extinct horned whales. This was a good house to fish in because there was only mostly ice fish. But fishing can sometimes bring up chests containing a random assortment of stuff. 99% of the time though, it's just Davy Jones's crap. 1% of the time though, you'll wonder how a whale fits into a small chest like this. Maybe it's because of pollution. I sold all the fish I had and ended the day off with about 25,000 gold. On the start of day 2, I wanted to get to level 12 and be able to start gardening, which is another side activity that players can do. Normally, you can't access this because KingsIsle doesn't like people to be free. They want them to be stuck in this weirdo social construct. Maybe once in a while you'll get a temporary passport to go wherever you want, but for the most part you'll just be stuck here. Now, I don't know why they made the server so crappy, but I have to say this. I sat here for what had to be like 30 minutes waiting for the game to reload, and I did this like 10 times over just so I can get through a loading screen. There must be some hidden microtransactions that's fucking up the game. Maybe that's why there's so many on the launcher, that I can't see the actual events going on. This is a simple guide to tell you which gauntlets give you a free education and which don't. The more you do these gauntlets, the more you'll level up. Some gauntlets don't give anything at all. There are the college courses you take for fun, but don't actually need, and these are one and the same. Normally, you can't do gauntlets in people's houses because KingsIsle loves restrictions like a mom that wants their kid to stay at home forever, but there's ways to bypass this and tell mom I can go wherever the fuck I want. And it's easy, just Google it. Another thing here is that if you don't have friends in high places, you're not gonna have a good time. Clearing these gauntlets on your own is the equivalent of going to prison with no clothes on, which you know what will happen in both cases. So, make some friends in prison.
Come over here and kiss me on my hot mouth.
There's also a side event that I think players can do. It's called the Portal of Peril. It's probably the same thing as gauntlets. I don't know what it is, but it didn't open to me. I think you just crawl into the dark hole and play with your imaginations or something. I literally have no idea. So I just speed ran most of these to get to level 12 and unlock gardening. I talked to a short mole dude and he showed me his dead garden to explain how plants take energy to grow or some shit. I took this opportunity to sell stuff I collected from questing and buy things I needed for gardening, which is supposed to look like this, and not this. What the fuck?
Stop helping.
I fished a lot in between levels and I earned an income, which was enough to buy a house surprisingly. I went all in on the best care for my new seedlings. I bought them their favorite toys and I stuck them all together.
Everybody needs a friend.
I thought at this point, since my mount was about to expire, I thought about buying a new one, but I realized that we ain't going anywhere, so what the fuck is the point? For day 3, I started Monstrology, and the whole point of this activity is to get a piece of a creature's soul by fighting them to create a minion, or a model of that for your house. Kinda like a statue, but it moves. Much like Night at the Museum. I didn't bother much with it because it's very grindy and tedious, especially at this low level, so instead the routine was just gonna be daily mooching, fishing, and gardening. I also tried another side activity. I don't really know what it's called. You just walk up to this fancy bird and, you talk to it and then you enter some sort of fashion competition. Apparently, people dress up and then they vote on who's the prettiest belle of the ball. The current event category was Yuletide, but I'll say I'm looking forward to the homeless event category because that's probably the only category I can compete in right now. One of these days, though, I'll be one of those gigantic supermodels. On day 4, as I loaded up the game, I realized this and I saw that there were many things I don't have, like enough frames to process the game, but also the many different clothing styles everyone has. Some of you guys are gonna ask this, but no, PvP is not free. It's only for members, but chances are you aren't gonna win anyways. It's like bringing a gun to a fight when the other person has a tactical nuke. 80 crowns to get my ass beat. I mean, I'm already doing that to myself as a free-to-play player, so... There was an event going on where a phone booth blocked half of the road. And yes, there are events in this game, and luckily most of them are free. I wish it showed up on the launcher though. So I just took this opportunity to meet random people and team up with them. It's not a whole lot of content, but it is free. Day 5 was just me taking care of plants, because I didn't really feel like doing anything else. And I also saw the sights inside a person's house, inside their gauntlets. So it's like Inception, kind of. But the view is really beautiful here. Some of the gauntlets really have some quite a number of cool sights. Like you're just riding on a train, and you're seeing the sunset fighting on top of a train. At the start of day 6, I did my routine, and I got to reap the rewards of being a patient farmer. The rewards were pretty mediocre since they didn't sell for a whole lot. I got extremely bored because at this point, it was so repetitive of doing everything, I just listened and observed people talking, and I got even more bored, so I took some pictures, which is another thing you can do in this game, besides screenshotting. Yeah, it's called photomancy. Literally nobody uses it because everybody takes pictures of this game with their phones instead. After that, I started up crafting, where some old lady made me a chemistry table out of a piece of wood.
We have to cook.
And I crafted some daggers. That's about as far as you'll get in terms of cooking anything, because the next quest is not free. But luckily you got some new daggers. I mean, you'd never use them. I also got enough gold to make a new pet, which is really expensive unless you meet with them in person. Since energy was a huge issue as a free-to-play player, I decided on a pet that would give me more energy to pet train, garden, and fish. It's kinda ironic when you think about it. You're training a pet to give you more energy, and you're using the pet that gave you more energy to pet train. Day 7 was when I finally wrapped up everything by harvesting my final plants, getting pet training done, up to adult, and leveling a lot in the gauntlets. If anybody was wondering, you can get to level 16, which was the exact same level that I reached about 5 years ago. Nothing truly has changed except for my voice, but I'm glad I got to explore all the options there are to play this game for free. It lets me know that I would rather pay $10 or not really play at all. There's literally nothing you can do, and I tried maximizing everything you can do because I've been playing this game for a long time. It's just really bare bones at its core. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and it showed you a couple things that you could probably do. I really appreciate all the support as always. If you're new, feel free to subscribe. Thank you all to my current members, and thank you all to my subscribers as well. And until then, I'll see you guys.